learned lessons. And so I believe you're not a quitter. You're a success story because you keep on going in business, and then you found a success in the business today that you love and adore, that lights you up. And so when I speak, I always talk about following your enjoyment in life, because it's that will give you the path in what you're truly authentically supposed to do in this world. And I love the idea that when you master your mind, you can literally create dreams that come true in your life. And so I think this is going to be a great episode today. And thank you, Scott, for coming on to the show today to share your story. Scott, maybe we can start and sharing your backstory and how you created this amazing academy on the Northern Beaches in Sydney, Australia, and have been in business for 15 years.
Basically, since I was a kid, I started doing martial arts when I was very little, probably about 9, 10 years old. And I don't know, I instantly just fell in love with martial arts. It became such a passion for me. I grew up in a very sports-orientated family, orientated sports-wise and academic-wise. So we had both sides. But my sport, no matter how many other sports I played, how many trophies I got in other sports and everything, always came back to martial arts. That was kind of my thing I loved more than anything. I didn't plan on running it as a business originally. It was my dream job, but I went into other fields. I actually went in and became a global IT security engineer. And I was traveling to Europe and everything for work. And I did that for about 8.5 years. I've been doing martial arts that whole time, but it was in the evenings outside of work and everything like that. So it was what I wanted to do, but it wasn't what I was really planning to do at that time. I kind of had my career and everything like that. I had found this particular martial art that I do now after doing many others. And I thought, I don't know, I just absolutely loved it. It seemed to, like you mentioned, that mind-body connection. The first ones I trained were more about physicality and muscular strength, brute strength, which was great. It's very good for fitness and everything like that. But I could see people that are a bit smaller, weren't as strong. Females, when people got a bit older, all sorts of things, they struggled a bit against the biggest, younger, strong guys. I was only in my late teens at that stage, and then I found this martial art and I met the master. The company I worked for, they ended up offshoring and moving all their head office from Australia, from Sydney to Shanghai in China, and they decided they weren't going to transfer people. So our whole department got made redundant, and I then got offered a job in Madrid. So I could either take the redundancy, stay here and do something else, or move to Madrid, live over there, keep working in a similar job. It was very tempting, but I thought, no, I'm going to take my dream. I'm going to take a big kind of leap of faith and take my redundancy and start my martial arts school up.
Scott, can I just jump in on that? So people like, I'm doing this thing, it's good, I could go here, I could go there, or this little thing that just lights my soul up on fire, I could go do that. And so in that moment, was there a little bit of like fear involved, like what was the feeling, the emotion that you got in that sort of crossroads in your life? Walk me through what you were feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was very tempting to move to Madrid, live over there, work in the current career path I had. Yeah. But by that stage, I kind of felt, I don't know, I was getting a bit over the corporate world, everything like that. Yep. I like to create things. So when I had the opportunity, and I don't know, I got so excited that I've got an opportunity to do my dream job, can create something, but I'm giving up this amazing career that I've got, just traveling the world, 6-figure salary, everything, just to go back to scratch. Yeah. And I had a partner at the time who was good at first, but then it ended up being basically I went to having nothing when I started it. I started to have to do jobs on the side. I was laboring on building sites, carpet laying, anything I could do just to get money to keep my dream going. Because if I didn't, it wouldn't have got there. I mean, it cost me more to run it than I was making it for at least a year or two. So. Yeah.
I just love this, Scott. And because my followers know that I'm all about success mindset. And so what I hear from your story is you've also got the secrets to success in what you're sharing with us on this podcast today. So thank you so much. But your first 2 businesses, it sounds like you were in business, you were trying these business ideas, but maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, was it where your heart was? Like, did you, these two first businesses, did you get excited about building it? Or was it like a dream to you to build this particular first business and second business? Or if I'm not correct, share me, yeah, how you started the idea of the first and the second business.
Yeah. So it there was the excitement of working for myself and creating
Yeah.
something that's mine.
Okay.
For both those first two businesses, like that side of it, yes, I was really into it and I was really excited. I put everything into it, but the actual job itself, I was very good at it. Like I was really good at it, but it didn't like my passion. It wasn't what I really wanted to do. So,
Yeah.
Okay. I think the first one, that coupled with not really knowing what I was doing at the time and trying to do it all myself, because at that time I didn't have any money to start the business. I was trying to start the business on a shoestring. So I couldn't get people to help me or anything. I had to learn it myself. And then, I ended up just deciding I have to go into a job. I got to start making proper money again. So I left that one. And the second one, same thing. I was working for a company. It was actually, I was working for Gateway Computers. They used to be a big computer company selling computers all through Australia. They closed down in Australia and made everybody redundant. I had a very small redundancy. I was only there 6 months. And I thought, and I connected with one of the guys I worked with, and we decided to again start a small business computer repair maintenance company. And it was actually doing very well, but I was working crazy hours and everything, which I did with this one, but with this one, it was my passion so much that I didn't mind. But with that, I didn't actually, I don't know, it was just too much. And I thought, I then saw this job come up and decided I'm going to go for this job. It seems like it's a lot more secure, a lot more, I'll have a steady income instead of it being up high and then down low and everything like that. So I jumped ship. I stopped that business. I learned a lot more about starting up a business. So it was all positive, but I then went into it. That job. 8.5 years later, redundancy again, which once again, the redundancy didn't last very long when you start your own business, but it gave you a little bit of capital to get going. So that was it. And then, but this time I was like, nah, this one, I'm going to keep going no matter what. Like,
amazing.
Nothing's going to stop me.
So Scott, you jumped into business because you knew you really wanted to work for yourself. But along those two business failures, if you will, you learnt lessons. And so I believe you're not a quitter. You're a success story because you keep on going in business, and then you found the success in the business today that you love and adore, that lights you up. And so when I speak, I always talk about following your enjoyment in life, because it's that will give you the path in what you're truly authentically supposed to do in this world. For example, I was an actress, and then I worked for a company doing fairy parties on the weekend. And then I loved it so much that I got so much more work than the owner herself did. Someone planted the idea in my head, I should be doing my own business. And I said, no, I'm not a business person. I could never do that. I'm a performer. But the idea kept on going around my head. It lit me up from the inside. I jumped in. 6 months later, I started my own business, and boom, I still have it today, 14 years later. So I always say, follow your enjoyment. And just like Scott did and shared his story, he learned, he grew, he learned his skills, and now he's finding massive success in his Kung Fu business for the last 14 years as well. So congratulations. I love your story. It's amazing. So let's dive into the exciting part of today. I mean, that was great, but like, I love the idea of Kung Fu because I love the idea of connecting your mind and your body and your soul on a daily basis, energizing yourself, because I believe when you can control your mind, you can also create a dream world. So tell me a bit about the philosophy of Kung Fu.
Kung Fu is an interesting one. There's lots of different martial arts, of course, from different countries. We have karate from Japan, we have Taekwondo from Korea. Kung Fu is Chinese martial arts. Probably the oldest, and a lot of others actually came from Kung Fu. So some of them have Kung Fu that's been changed slightly depending on where they are, the culture they use, whatever they're needed for. But there's a lot of different styles of Kung Fu. There's probably about 300 or something different styles of Kung Fu. This one is very well known. Bruce Lee was actually made it very famous originally. His teacher, Ip Man, he's now got lots of movies. You can watch a whole series of his movies on Netflix. They're very popular as well. And it became so popular because of the mind and body and the effectiveness of it for anybody. When I first started, I had done lots of other styles, as I mentioned, and I happened to find this style of Kung Fu, Wing Chun Kung Fu, close by in Manly. Okay. And I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. I've read all about it. It sounds really good. I went down, did one lesson, and I was just hooked. I was like, I found what I've been looking for the whole time. It's got that kind of, I don't know, it's more about the mind and learning to master your body with your mind, not just building as strong muscles as you can and then seeing how hard you can hit. There was other philosophies and things behind the other ones, but this one, I don't know, it just you started to get a better understanding of yourself and your body and what you can do.
You mentioned, Scott, earlier on in this interview today that you had worked with the Grandmaster, and I won't even try and reshare that story. You're here to share it. So yeah, share with the viewers today your learnings from the Grandmaster.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so just after I started, it was the same. I started in September, and I think it was only like October, November or something in 1998. So I just started. It was a long time ago now. I've done this for a long time. And he came to Australia, and I went to his seminars, and he was nearly 80. He would have been at the time probably 77, 78, something like that. And he was 60 kilos, very thin. So he was almost my height, but he was only 60 kilos. So at the moment I'm like 79 kilos or something. So he was very, very thin, right? And he walked in and he looked like a little old man, basically. But he had this air about him, just this, you could just feel his energy. He just, something about him, but it was all so positive, so good. He was always smiling. Like, he was renowned for his laugh and his smile. He was always happy. And he'd pick the biggest guy in the room to come up, and he would demonstrate on them. And he could just throw anyone across the room. Wow. He would show a punch and no one could stop his punch. He could hit something and people could push it from the side and he'd just punch. They couldn't do anything. And I felt his power, and I was just, after all the martial arts I'd trained with like guys that were absolutely huge and massive, top of the game in the martial arts and everything. But he just felt more powerful. It was really strange. It was kind of mystical. I learned it wasn't, but but it felt mystical at the time. It was like, this is like a movie. And it really, really blew my mind away. And then probably I trained with it. He came to Australia a couple of times over that next time. And then by 2010, when I started this school up, I started traveling to Hong Kong and training with him directly until he passed away. So I trained with him until he passed away. And I mentioned Bruce Lee. Ip Man was Bruce Lee's teacher. He was also learning from the same person at the same time. Wow. But he was senior to Bruce Lee. So he trained at the school and he was helping Ip Man teach. And then he started his own school with Ip Man's permission. And then Bruce Lee started. So he was around and a lot higher than Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee went and trained with him sometimes as well. So I like to say I've trained with Bruce Lee, one of the two guys that taught Bruce Lee as well. So
cool. Scott, yeah. This is so funny we've connected, because when I speak on success mindset, I always love to reference Bruce Lee. He used to say, just be water. And that has always stuck with me, because I always like to use that example for when people use words that or situations happen in life to control your world or to control your life. Don't get attached to the negative things that come through you. Just be water. Just let it come through you energetically and out the other side, and then things can't affect you as much. I know some people who are definitely struggling with maybe depression and so forth. It's just like a downward spiral connecting to the negative thoughts and the negative things that are happening on the outside world. But I'm like, nah, just be water. Let it come through you and out the other side. And you can always protect yourself that way as well. So love Bruce Lee.
Yes. Yeah, he was big on philosophy and mindset and everything as well. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, we could talk forever on that. So I love everything about you. Your school is amazing. It's on the Northern Beaches in Sydney, Australia. We had mentioned that you were doing classes online and in person. Was that correct?
Yeah. So I have some, I mean, of course we run our physical classes. That's the main majority of it. But we also do, it was actually a thing that happened in COVID, because when COVID hit, we were one of the first places to be shut down. They shut down gyms and martial arts schools really early on. And I just hit about 10 years of running my business, and it was getting was doing very well and everything. And all of a sudden I got told I have to shut down and everything's got to stop. And it was a big, I thought, what am I going to do? I had a bit of a filming background, because one of my friends that I used to work with, and he was big into martial arts. Oh. Because he was the marketing and media guy for the big corporate company we worked for. Okay. And he asked me if I wanted to help him out. So once a month we would travel interstate and do filming for corporates, other corporates, and do training and all that sort of stuff. So I did a lot of filming work with him and editing and everything. And then when this started, he just retired. He retired young. He was probably only 50, I think, when he retired, but he was a little bit older than me. But he decided to retire, and he gave me all his equipment and helped me set up for online, and created an online syllabus and started doing online just to pivot and get through COVID. And then we started getting people joining from overseas and everywhere, and suddenly the business kind of started growing on the online side. Yeah. And as soon as we could come back and start doing physical classes again, I had these online students that wanted to keep training. Yeah. So I thought, why not just leave this up here and those guys can join in while we run the other classes. So it's both physical and online at the same time, and online at the same time. And and we've just launched online on-demand training as well. And we've started getting some people from different countries, overseas, Germany, Turkey, Spain, have started joining that as well. And then some of them are then transitioning and doing live online as well.
Love that. Maybe it could be good for anyone who's struggling with mental health to do something like this, to get their focus more onto an activity and less onto the negative stuff that's happening in the world. Would you agree?
Yeah, completely, 100%. Firstly, we get lots of kids, the parents bring them down because they've had problems, they've been bullied at school, or they've got mental health problems. They come down, and I've had some parents, the parents telling me how much it's changed their lives and helped them. We have our women's self-defense program that really helps with females, the empowerment for females, because they feel kind of like very nervous about being attacked or having to defend themselves physically. And this style being, like I mentioned before, anyone can do it. It's about the mind and that. So females, they actually excel at this. So when we do that, their mindset changes, and you see their confidence grow. If they're not so worried about they're going to travel or something, and they're not worried about traveling anymore. Things like that, just in case. And then we also have had lots of students. I'm on the NDIS as a provider on the NDIS, so we get people with autism and so forth, and I teach private lessons to them. And I was actually teaching on site at a house in Mossman, teaching a family who had an autistic child, and the mother works in that field. And we started doing some things together as well, and tried to get a program for young adults with learning disabilities and autism and ADHD on the spectrum, and ADHD and everything. But that was difficult, so it ended up being put on the back burner. But yeah, she saw the difference it made, so she was all for it. And so it's helped a lot of people. It's really, really amazing. Yeah.
Well, I love and adore everything that you guys are doing, and maybe I will invite you over to the Pageant Girls workshop and help empower them from the inside out when it comes to Kung Fu. So thank you. So how does anyone reach out to you for your workshops and things?
So basically our website is probably the quickest and the easiest. We actually have two websites. We have Dragon Tao Kung Fu.com.au, and we have Dragon Tao Kung Fu.online. So the online one's more for the online side, but the .com.au is for all our classes, workshops, women's self-defense, everything like that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. For anyone who's maybe thinking about doing Kung Fu or has never thought about it, but listened to this interview and gone, wow, is there any final thoughts with someone who might just be interested in doing Kung Fu? What would it do for their life?
From physical health to mental health, it's huge. It's having that mind-body connection actually works both. So a lot of your physical health is also controlled by your mind. So we talked about people coming down that have confidence issues and things like that. People who have physical problems like a bad back. Martial arts is something generally you get told not to do. But we have people come in and we learn about posture, aligning your spine, relaxing, opening the joints, everything. And we've actually had people who have had really bad backs the problems go away, basically. As long as they're learning it properly and doing what they're told, like not just going out and doing something and injuring it again, it can help many health-related problems. So we always say it's martial arts for the body and the mind, not just physical fitness. Physical fitness is great, you get fit, you get healthy, but there's a point where it can be too much. You can start to damage your body and things like that. So a lot of martial arts might have that negative side if you do them too much. We get a lot of people transfer over. When this one actually training it has the opposite effect. You don't get injured, you improve your body. So it's very good from that side. It still has the fitness aspect as well.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your journey. I just love what you're doing. You're servicing your community, not only locally, but also online. And you're empowering people to find confidence from within and external as well. So thank you for everything that you do. We will be putting the links below. So do go on over and follow them. Find them on social media, or you can do a class. Who knows? And I will see you on the next episode. And remember, you are special and you are made for greatness. Just go out and be you. Bye, everyone.
I believe together we are powerful, that we can all tap into abundance in a moment and sparkle from within. So let's connect over fun topics like fashion, business, mindset, spirituality, and more. This is the I Am Laura podcast show, where sparkling inside out will empower our tomorrow.